Morning. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500, and welcome back to the first proper day on Project Blondie. I'm going to set myself a challenge today. Let's just get started right now. So the challenge I'm setting myself for today, you know what sort of work is required on this. You saw in the last video where I put the bumper and the headlights in temporarily. I've had the battery on charge since yesterday morning, so that should hopefully be fully charged because it was flat when the car was delivered. As you can see, the windscreen is very icy. It's a nice bright sunny day today, but unfortunately it's probably somewhere between about 0 and -2. It's freezing, hence the silly hat I've got on, because us follically challenged fellas lose all that heat out of our head, and it's freezing. You can see Project Bluey out on the street there in the background. Obviously, as you know, that's back from the paint shop, but it can stay out there for a couple of days or so, and I want to get this one done first. So the challenge I'm setting myself for today is to get this car done today, one day. So the jobs I've got to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the seats, which is normally one of the last things I do, but because of the time of year and the weather, they take forever to dry. I think Loopy Harold, I did them almost a week ago, and I think even though I had the heater going in the car, the fan heater, they still were a little bit damp when I parked it out there a couple of days ago. So I'm going to clean the seats first. Once they're cleaned, I'm going to get the heater going in the car. I might actually put the engine on. No, I can't, because I'm going to be taking the front off. So we'll get the fan heater going on the floor in the car for a couple of hours, and that will help to dry it off. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to move the car further into the garage so I can be a little bit out of the elements, even though it's not raining or snowing at the moment. It might well do, who knows. And then I'm going to, as you saw, I'm going to change that front panel. I've compared it to one of the other cars, and it is further back, so it's obviously been deformed, that front panel. I've got one down there that came off Project Cooey, so I'm going to put that on instead. So radiator's fine, as you know, so I'm going to take the headlights out, take the front bumper off, remove the front panel, put the new front panel on, fit the radiator back on, repair that bumper. I'm going to plastic weld that bumper, repair that, see if I can get it a bit painted if I can. It's so cold for paint. I'll do what I can, but I'm going to do as much as I can and try and get this finished in one day. Let's see how we get on. Well, as you can see, these seats are absolutely filthy. Absolutely filthy. Look at the state of that. Again, I've seen worse. Well, it smells nice in here. I've got a nice air freshener. It's got a set of mats all the way through, so I'll clean those up as well. Although I have got other sets of mats, which I think are clean, so I might just swap them over. Driver's seat's not too bad, but this seat, what on earth has been going on this seat? It does make you wonder sometimes. Really does. But unfortunately there's a bit of noise outside today because it's like, I don't know whether it's Virgin are digging the street up or something, but there's a load of workmen out there. They look like they're going to be digging up the street, so it might be a bit of background noise, but I've mixed up my fluid, so I'm now going to get on with this. Just going to take a before and after photograph for Instagram, and then we're going to stick it on a quick bit of time lapse for you to see me very boringly cleaning the seats. Okay, that's the seats done. That's hard work, that is. It's really back breaking, that, especially when you've got the car parked a bit close to the wall. These come up nice clean. I don't know what these marks are. They just appeared. I don't know if they're dried powder, cleaning powder that's come out the tube, or whether it was hiding underneath the dirt. I'm not really sure. It's sort of chalky. There's a little bit over there on the back seat as well that came out, but I think that'll probably brush off once they're dry. So I'm just going to clean the mats that are in it. They're a bit on the curled up side, but hopefully they'll clean up and they'll be okay. As I say, I have got spare mats anyway, but door card's all clean, both sides, back seats are all clean. Obviously that will be cleaned with elbow grease once it's all dried off. I did that carpet there as well because it was had all that white over it. I'm not quite sure what that was. There's some of it here. See, I don't know if that's what's on the seat. See this here? I'm not sure. It feels a little bit like chalk. I don't know if that was just hiding under the dirt, but that was there before, and that was all under the mat as well. So not quite sure what that is, but obviously that'll all clean off afterwards anyway. As I mentioned, excuse the noise out there. They're digging up the pavements and don't know what they're doing. So yeah, that's the interior done. I'm going to leave the doors open just to get a bit of air in there to help dry it while I'm cleaning the mats, and then I'll get the heater in there. There we go, once again, very, very brown water from seats. Just shows you how disgusting they are. Horrible. Right, now the seat's cleaned, I've moved the car forward just a little bit. And now I'm going to get the front bumper off, get that out of the way for the time being, and then we're going to get this front panel off. Battery, as we know, is out, so I don't need to worry about anything like that. Yeah, so bumper, it's not bolted on, it's just 2 bolts at the top holding it on so it don't fall off, and it's just tucked into the wings. Obviously not very well because as we know, the front panel is a bit on the low side, sorry. So the bumper doesn't fit on it very well. So let's get that done, get the bumper off, and get on with it. Okay, so now we've got the bumper off. Obviously, as we saw in the last video, there's no crash bars on here, no bolts or anything. So the only thing we need to do is disconnect the radiator. So I'm going to undo the bolt, the 10mm bolt down the bottom, and the 10mm bolt down the bottom there, and then the radiator will lift away from the pegs, and then you can feed it up inside, so it's out of the way. Release the two bolts that side and the 2 bolts that side. And then it will, once the headlights are off of course, and then it will just lift away. Oh, and we obviously need to disconnect that as well. So there's nothing wrong with the radiator on this car, so we haven't got to unplumb the radiator, which obviously if you're replacing the radiator as well, you do have to. On the one that came off of Project Cooey, obviously there's a radiator already on there. It would be stupid of me to drain that one down and take that radiator off and then use that one. That would be just silly because there's nothing wrong with this radiator. So I'll be taking the radiator off of that one, so I'll have a spare radiator for future use. So I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, and this noise of these workmen out in the road are driving me around a twist. So I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. Oh, it's just stopped, heaven. And then we'll crack on. Right, so where were we? So I've got to take the headlights out, and I noticed that was broken. That wasn't broken before, that was a good headlight. I think the vibration must have been on the verge, I reckon, of breaking. So that was a good tab on the top, so it's not good anymore. But I suppose as you can see there, oops, twisting that, you can see that actually goes up in the air, so I guess it was at the wrong sort of angle. But I've got a spare one. Obviously I bought 2 sets, I only used it on that one, but and you can see that's quite bent up as well there, look, you can see that's bending up, so it wouldn't be much before that snaps as well, even though the new brackets tend to be better than the old bracket, the original brackets. So we'll take these headlights out again, put them somewhere safe, and then so the only bolts we've actually got to undo is we've got to take that off. I haven't even got to disconnect the electrical connection of the radiator, take off the 2 bolts. So I've got this on the tripod, and I'm trying to film by holding the tripod. There's the bolts down there, and then the radiator will just lift away them, or push back out of the way, and then release the 2 top bolts either side on the front panel up here, and the same the other side, and then it will just pull away. So I'm going to go on time lapse to do all that, because you've seen it all before anyway. And of course we've got the builders out the front as well, making lots of noise. So we'll see you on the other side of the time lapse. So that didn't take very long. That's literally off in about 2 minutes flat. So that time lapse would have gone very quickly. So I'm going to have a little go at straightening that up slightly, because I think it is very, very slightly out, and obviously I want the holes to line up properly. And then we'll offer up the new one. Obviously I've got to take the radiator off of the old, I say the old one, it's the new one for this car. Take the bars off, which are only held on by those 10mm bolts. Take the radiator off exactly the same way I've just taken that one off. And then we can offer that up and get that bolted on. Okay, so what I did forget there, which you may have seen, is I forgot to take those bungs off on the old radiator, sorry, on the existing radiator. So once I fed the panel in, I couldn't actually get the radiator to come forward low enough to get it into the pegs. So I had to take those off, which was quite awkward. They're quite difficult to get off sometimes, which they were in this case. So once I got them off, I still struggle to get it through. I haven't done one like this for a long while actually. Normally I'm changing the whole thing, radiator as well, so it all comes off in one piece, but on this one I didn't obviously need to do that. So basically ideally you need two people, because you need one to hold the radiator and push it at the bottom outwards to get it so it's lined up, and then with the bottom holes, and then obviously it needs to be fed into the pegs there. So at the moment it's just supported on one bolt either side. What we're going to do now is what I've said before, is to get a jack underneath and then jack it up one side. If you jack it up in the middle, it never seems to go up equally, unless you, I don't know, probably weight differences with where the radiator's on it and so on and so forth. But if you jack it up right in the middle, you'll find one side tends to go higher than the other. So what I tend to do is jack it up one side, get that side with the holes lined up, put the bolts in loose, very loose, and then remove the jack and put it over the other side. So I'm going to do that on time lapse again. I'm doing most of this on time lapse, one, because you've seen it all before on other cars, and two, the reason I'm filming now is because there's a lull in the noise from the workmen out in the road, because that is just interfering with the recording so much with the noise that they're making. Sounds like they're cutting up paving slabs or something. So yeah, not a nice noise for the video background. So I'll put it on the tripod again, and we'll go on time lapse, and we'll make sure all these holes line up properly. I've offered up the top bar, so this is the new top bar. Oh, this is the one that came off of Project Cooey on this particular panel. I've offered that up. I've adjusted the top chassis rail slightly. I've heated it up and hit it to get it back in. It wasn't far out, to be honest, but it needed a very, very slight bit of adjustment. So I've done that, so they should all line up okay now. And then at the bottom one's obviously okay anyway. So what I'll do, as I say, I'll get the jack underneath now, get it jacked up, and then we can fit the top bar loosely, and then the bottom bar can go on, and then we're almost there. Obviously got to put the bonnet catch on. Then before I put the headlights back in, once I've got it all tightened up, before I put the headlights back in, I will make sure that the bonnet closes properly, because when you've adjusted or taken that off, it may not be in the right position, and you don't want to be, it's never happened to me, touch wood, but you don't want to be in a position where you close the bonnet. That's if it closes, because you know sometimes it doesn't close, especially if that front panel's too low, which is another reason I jack it up. But if you close the bonnet and then for some reason you can't open it again, it's a lot easier to get it open with no bumper on, or headlights. Well, the headlights don't make any difference, but with no bumper on, than it is trying to jack it up and get underneath to try and release the catch from there. So we'll do that. We'll get that jacked up and get it all on. that's all on. That's all on nicely. The only thing I've got to do is do up the top ones. I haven't done those up, so all of the bolts, actually no, I've got to tighten them up on that side. I've only done them up loosely on that side. Yeah, I've got to tighten all the bolts up on the left, or rather on the right. Put the catch back on, and then we can test close the bonnet, make sure it closes okay, and then we can go about putting the headlights back in. So we are getting there, slowly but surely. Right, I've put the catch back on. I've put it up as high as it will go. Close bonnet closes fine. Absolutely fine. Obviously it needs a little bit of adjustment here, but we can adjust those wings anyway, as we spoke about before. And this side looks okay, pretty much. Needs a little bit of adjustment. The gap up here is a little bit off, but the heat has been going all morning in here. It's going to cost me a fortune. Oh my word, it's warm in here. But the seats are getting dry. I mean, as soon as I've come in here, my glasses are steamed up. It's like a sauna. Camera's probably steamed up as well. But I think what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go and make myself another cup of tea. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn that heater off, because it's cost me a fortune. And I'm going to start the car and run the car and let the car heater do the same job. I think there's plenty of petrol in it. And then we'll set about. I've got to sort out the headlights. Got to put the headlights back in, and I've got to repair this one again. And then we can set about repairing the bumper. So I'm sort of well on track at the moment to get this finished in a day. I mean, it's not going to be finished. Obviously, I'm going to service it and clean up any little marks that are on it and that sort of thing. So it's not going to be like ready to sell today. But I think I'm off tomorrow. I'm off work tomorrow as well. And as much as I wanted to get Bluey back on the road and get it booked in for MOT and so on, I want to get this one done and sold and out of the way. And then we can move back on to Bluey and Harold. If anyone's new to the channel and you wonder why I'm talking about Bluey and Harold, you need to watch the other projects. I'm not as crazy as I sound. I'm a little bit crazy, but not as crazy as I sound. Yes, Project Bluey and Project Loopy Harold are the other projects that are on the go at the moment. So let's go and make a cup of tea, and then we'll get on. Right, so I've got one of the headlights in. I've got to just repair or replace that tab, so I've got to cut the remnants of that tab off and get a new tab on that, get that one on. I've just started the engine and put the heater on full whack, so we can warm up the inside of the car without costing my electric bill too much. And then we're going to attack the bumper, so we can get that plastic welded, and then see how it goes together and see what we need to do to make it look good. Because the main crack is like it's almost sort of behind the number plate, so it's not going to be too much of an issue there anyway. But we'll get that repaired soonest rather. So we're still on track. I think we're doing okay to get this finished today. I've got to put the foam bit on there. I have got the foam bit that came off Cooey. I've got a load more up in my loft, but I obviously only need the one. So I've lined that bonnet up a little bit better. I pushed that wing in a little bit by just releasing that very front 10mm bolt, just slightly pushing it over, just a couple of mil, so that's much better. It still needs a little bit of adjustment here and there on the bonnet, but I have sold cars with them worse. I have sold cars with them worsely fitting than this one is now, so I'm not going to be too anal about it. I'm just going to do the best I can with it, but it all shuts nicely, pretty much lines up. It's just the bumper now really, apart from this headlight of course, so let's get on and do that. Right, I've still got the engine running. As you can see, it's steamed up. At least it's warmed up a little bit, because for the first about 3 hours the ice on the roof and on the windscreen and everything was still solid. So I don't know if it's because I've been out here all day and I've just got used to it, but it's obviously thawed out a little bit. But it's drying off nicely inside. It's probably going to dry off better with the airflow from the heater. But now I'm on the bumper. So I've managed to push all the bits in from the other side, or from this side rather, and I've then put some gaffer tape, duct tape on it to sort of hold it in place, and then I've pushed from underneath, and then I've run that along the edge to weld it. It's dry now, So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over and have another look. There's going to have to be a little bit of rubbing down and possibly some filling as well. I think, possibly, I'm not sure. But I just want to make sure it's sort of in the right place and level on the other side, on the good side. And then I'm going to get the staplers out, the hot staples, and get those in there to just give it a little bit of extra strength. Because the welding is pretty good. I haven't put any extra plastic in. I've just melted the plastic around it, which obviously then seals the crack. Then we'll see what it's like, and then we'll get some staples in if it's in the right place. I've not been able to film as much as I would have liked to have done today because of the noise outside. There's just a lull in two petrol, what do you call them, cutters, you know, the things that cut paving. Two of them are going at the same time. So while there's a lull in it, I'll show you what I've done. So I've plastic welded and hot stapled this. I've then rubbed it down a little bit. Don't even think there's going to need to be any filler in there. We're going to need a little bit of work here, and we'll have to do a bit of rubbing down here and just a bit of painting. There's some stress fractures, various stress fractures. I'm just going to patch them. I'm going to paint that bit along there because there's a few bits along there and a couple of bits down there. So, you know, I could take the bumper to the body shop and say repaint it, but this is a quick turnaround, a really cheap car. This is going to be. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be as good as I can get it. I'm not spending masses of money on it, like I've done on Project Bluey, which we'll obviously come to when we get to Project Bluey. But I've just put the bumper on, so I hung it off of one bolt, and then I've tapped it in at the side. If you look at the gaps there, that is nigh on perfect there. And I thought to myself, I bet the other side doesn't go in as well. Bear in mind, I haven't got the side bolts in at the moment, but that is perfect as well. It just popped in absolutely spot on. Probably fitted the best a bumper has ever fitted. Now I think the reason for this, the reason why it's gone back so well, is the main reason for that is because I jacked the panel up. So that, as you know, that front panel, the old front panel was low, so the bumper didn't go on properly. And I've often in the past, I've put them on and I've tried to sort of lift them and put the bolts in at the same time. You need to jack them up like I showed you, one side at a time. I did that side first, jacked it up, got the holes bang on, put the bolts in loose, took the jack off, went back to that side, did the same thing, and then jacked it in the middle, made sure it was held properly, did the bolts up full whack, and it is perfect, absolutely spot on. So I've also put blue bulbs in the DRLs, so we've got the nice blue white bulbs. So we're almost there. I'm going to do a couple of bits of paint, just touching up bits of paint now. As it's, what's the time? It's 3:05, so I've still got a good hour and a half's daylight left. So I'm going to just crack on and do. Oh, here we go. Cutters are coming back. I'm just going to crack on and get as much of it done as I can. So the number plate will cover up a lot of that. Number plate's a little bit cracked there and there, so I'm going to get some new ones ordered today, but that can just be put back on temporarily for now, and then when we get new ones we'll put them on. And what I'll do is, when I put them on, what I'll do, just to cover it up slightly, rather than having them there, I'll just move it up slightly and it will completely cover it. It's only like a millimetre, so that'll get me it would be a decent bumper at the end of it. You know, so my painting skills aren't fantastic. Some of these bits I'm just going to touch up. Some of the bits I'm going to just go shh. With this cracking paint here, I've done it in the past. It's only a very mild bit of cracking. I've just got the paint can. I've given it a really light rub down, and I've just gone shh. 4 little shushes, and then done the same with a couple of clear coat, and it's perfect. Once you get a bit of a polish on it and polish it up and knock it back and what have you, not knock it back, whatever the term is, it's really good. And it's an easy way of just, I guess it just sort of fills in those cracks. It's not a professional job by any stretch of the imagination, but it does the job. It's a means to an end. So that's what I'm going to do now, or some of it at least. I've checked all the lights all work. I've had the engine running. Seats are almost dry now. Let's have a look. Show you. They're still a bit patchy because they're not dry properly. Look at all that overspray. I'm definitely going to start looking into a liquid cleaner, because overspray really does stain. It takes me ages to go over this. But yeah, these seats will be dry by tomorrow. It's quite warm in the car still, what with the engine running and having the fan heater in there. Don't know what the back's like. The back looks quite dry as well. But yeah, by the morning I reckon it's a little bit dry. So that's good. Let's shut the door, keep what warmth there is in there left. So yeah, so that's it for the time being. I'll come back once I've done got a drill on as well now. I'll come back once we've got a few more bits done. So I've done a little bit of painting. It's not good weather for painting, it's too cold. So I've done a bit of touching up and a bit of painting. It's just that bit just there that needs a little bit of extra attention, which I'll do again tomorrow. I think I'll have to heat it up or something with a heat gun. It's just too cold. So the bumper's on. I put all the bolts in the bumper except for the corner ones, and obviously I need to do up the arch liners to the bumper as well, which I'll do tomorrow, because it's starting to get really cold out here now. Well, it's been cold anyway all day, but so yeah, I'll finish that off tomorrow, but it's basically done. Bonnet close is okay. This needs a bit of adjustment. The bumper just needs to come forward a little bit. Obviously there's movement in the bolts. I've just done the bolts up, so that just needs the gap is equal, it's just a bit too much. So we'll put a couple of washers in, as we often do, and then it just needs to move forward a little bit, and then that'll be done. We'll do that first thing tomorrow morning. The one thing I've got left to do today is, oh yeah, it's open, is as this was snapped off. I have got spare ones in the loft, but it's only this little bit here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bond it on. There's no point taking it all off, I might as well just bond it on. And then we'll come back and we'll just finish all this off tomorrow. We'll finish off all these bits of paint and go round it, and with G3 and G10, and oh yeah, we're going to have to look at this as well, just to make sure this is okay, and just get it all pushed back in. But apart from that, it's done. I set myself a challenge for the day, and it's pretty much done, which is great. So I'll be back again in the morning. I'm going to finish this video here, and we'll be back in the next video. You'll see it, just the final little bits and pieces finished off, cleaned up. It hasn't even been hoovered inside yet, but we'll clean it up, clean up the wheels, the wheel trims and everything else, give it a proper clean, get all the muck off that's on the seals that's been thrown up, get the tyre remover on there, get all those bits and pieces off, get it up finally ready to sell. So I imagine this will be going up for sale at the weekend, I should think. So yeah, that's a good day's work I've spent. It's what's the time now? It's 10 to 4. So I've been out there since about 9:30. So yeah, I've had a good few hours on it, and I have actually done something else today as well, because someone came round who wanted a new speedo fitted, and I've done that as well today. It didn't work because she bought a brand new speedo. We'll go into that in a minute actually. We'll before the end of this video we'll go into that, but this is for the car for today. This is it. I'll see you in a minute, and we'll just have a chat about the speedo and what's going to happen with this one. So I'll see you in a minute. So yeah, the car that this young lady brought around is a 2010. It's the later 2010, so it's got the start-stop on it. She bought a brand new. It said 2012 onwards on the eBay listing. It's brand spanking new one, obviously with 0 miles. We plumbed it in, for want of a better word. On the label on the back, it actually said 2015. So I thought to myself, why is that saying 2012 onwards if it's got 2015? I thought, is it just because it's manufactured in 2015? So we plugged it in, and it is actually a 2015 one, because it had the sensor for the tyre pressures, which was kept flashing constantly, and then eventually went out, because obviously those cars of that age of 2010 haven't got tyre pressure sensors, and these speedos looking for it. It was also all in Italian as well. Now, we've had a bit of a thing about this. We were scrolling through all the buttons, and we could not find the menu to change the language. Since then, I've looked at YouTube, I've looked at the forums and what have you, and it seems that all of the speedos, well, I say all of the speedos, most of the speedos seem to have the facility when you scroll through on the speedo buttons to change the language. Now, I don't know if we missed it and didn't see it because it was in Italian, but we were scrolling through and we were working out which one was which by, you know, trying to guess the Italian. But we went through it like 3 or 4 times and couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's not on all of them, maybe. I don't know, just couldn't get to the bottom of it. But because it was for the wrong generation of car anyway, it wasn't going to be any good. So she sent it back and she's waiting to find. Her car's very low mileage, so getting one of the right generation with a very low mileage is proving a bit tricky, which is why she bought the new one. But yeah, no, that was a strange one. That I know what you're all going to say. You can do it in them, and you can't do it in multi-ECU scan. So we don't really know. She sent it back now, so we're not really sure whether we did miss it on there or it wasn't there. I've looked through 2 of my 3 cars and it is on there, but of course they're different speedos. They're the earlier ones, so don't know. But that was it. That sort of took about 45 minutes of my day up today anyway. So yeah, I still managed to get quite a lot done. So the car's not finished. It's virtually there. The next section will be coming up midweek. Some of it is already filmed actually, so we'll probably be uploading that probably for Wednesday, I would imagine, and then probably next weekend will be the last video on this car. So the video is a little bit short. This one's only about half an hour long, but this quick project, as we knew it was going to be a quick project all along, so I'll be pleased to get this done. I was hoping to get it up for sale this weekend. That will probably be next weekend. However, I've sent off the logbook. I sent it off last weekend, but I missed the post on Saturday, so it wouldn't have been picked up until Monday, this Monday, and today is Saturday. So the last few I've got back, the last couple I haven't had to send off because they came with the logbooks. This one didn't, but the last ones I sent off was probably around the October, November time, maybe a little bit earlier. I can't remember, to be honest. They came back. 2 of them came back in less than 2 weeks. So I'm fingers crossed. I've asked some people, and people are saying that they are still coming back quite quickly. So as soon as that comes back, then I can get it up for sale. And so that's the end of this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed this quite short project. If you're a casual viewer, please hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate the more subscriptions we get, the better the channel gets for everybody, and the more content we get. So please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Don't want to see any of those, thanks very much. But like and share the video as much as you can, and we will see you in a couple of days. Well, yeah, probably Wednesday it'll be. So until then, take care, stay safe and stay indoors.